Yeah, steampunk. Yeah. Such a good dog. Such a good dog. Oh, sorry. The Steampunk and I were hanging out together, thinking about taking down these, decorations. Ugh. Yeah, I can't get into decorations this. I mean, a sleigh? Really? A whole sleigh and reindeer? No. No, it's too much. It's too much. I mean, the little sheep can stay. I guess the snowmen can stay, too. But, yeah, I mean, I mean, it's just, okay. I feel a little bit better now. You know what, Squid Plushie? You can stay, though. You can hang out right there. You're great. And, Slime Trophy? I won you in the field of battle, so you can just hang out right there. We'll figure out what we want to do with... You know what? No. You know what? No. You're out, too. You're out, too. You're gone. You're just gone. Okay. So, let me show you, folks, a concern I have. We go down here. We go into the basement. And, I left for a little while, and I forgot to turn my AE system off, and look what happened to our oil. I went and I got some more oil, and I just kind of left it on as a test, and it's also off. So, that's a bit of a problem. We should probably resolve this, because if I want to do some more stuff, well, then I need to start having actual power generation. This fuel system, honestly, we need to make something renewable. But we also need something high output. Now, renewable stuff would take too much time, I think. So what I want to do is I want to go up here, and I want to build something. I've actually built one of these on my series before, but I've never used it. So that's what I think we're going to do. I'm going to grab a bunch of these graphite bars and tons of this yellorium, and I am going to start working on a big reactor. It's not going to be a big reactor. It's the mod, big reactor. But it's going to be a relatively small reactor that we're going to put in here inside our lab, and then we'll power... Wait a second. What? There's a node right there. What's going on? Why is there a node right there? I mean... It's right there. Ah! What the heck is this? I am at a loss for words. How? How would this get here? I'm not even sure this is here now. I really want to question. Is this real? Is it a tainted biome? No, it's not a tainted biome. Take a screenshot of that. Is it? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Someone is pranking me. Although, I gotta admit, that's a pretty good trick, moving the obelisk like that. Pretty good trick indeed. Huh. Well, you know, jingle bells. Let's see what it's going to take to make one of these big reactors. So, big reactor. As I recall, we need some reactor casings, a controller. We're going to need a control rod, a power tap, just a bunch of this stuff. Most of this stuff doesn't need very much, but it does need, you know, a few things. So it shouldn't be too difficult. We don't need a coolant port. We would like, I think, to get a reactor rednet port. Yeah, most of this stuff is, well, maybe not rednet, maybe just redstone. Yeah, redstone port. Yeah, so most of this stuff is pretty straightforward, and this reactor casing stuff is itself really easy. So let's go ahead before we run out of power in our system and just toss in all these ingredients. And let's make some reactor casings. There we go. We've got a stack of reactor casings. So we should be able to grab those downstairs and just sort of block out what we want, and then we can start to make the other pieces for it. Because, you know, generally that's the way it works. Now, just before we go on, with the help of some other members of the Expeditionary Force, I've been extending the lab. And so we've got some other rooms down here. It's a work in progress because it is a lot of work. But yeah, we're getting a little bit further along, and we'll soon have a factory. There's a spider in here. Come on, guys, light it up. There is a factory floor here, and we're going to have some other rooms for some other specific experiments here and here. I think this will be a server room. And this over here will, well, I don't know. We'll figure out what it's going to be. I think I know what this is going to be, but we'll sort of, play it by ear, and then we'll have, some other features out this way. We don't want to go too much further because we're getting really close to narrow space now, but, it would be good to have. So anyways, yeah, let's stay focused. Grab the casings. So I think this will do right here. Yeah, this will be fine for now. So you see, it's actually not a perfect square. It's a little deeper because we're going to put one extra control rod and, then a little bit of extra space. I may even extend it out one more. But for the moment, let's just focus on this design. Yeah, actually, I probably should extend it one more. But let's go ahead and make the controller. Like so. And all this stuff is pretty cheap. We just have to make sure to put in the reactor casings that we've made so far. It's actually a fairly inexpensive mod to get started with, but you do need to find a bunch of Yellorium. We need a control rod, and this requires more graphite. Looks like we're out of graphite, so let me just go cook that up. I'm going to go ahead and get this set up to my liking, but we're going to make a redstone port, a reactor casing. I think we're definitely going to extend this out one more, but I need to make some more casing, I think, before I can continue. Oh, and by the way, notice how I'm getting experience? Very, very tiny amounts, but I am getting experience. I re-enchanted this pick and got really lucky. Fortune 3, Unbreaking 3, Efficiency 4. Great, right? XP Boost 3. Turns out that every time I dig, I get a single point of experience. Now, it isn't much in the long run, or rather in the short run, but over the long run, over the long haul, I actually just gain levels just by digging with it. And because of the unbreaking, it actually has pretty good characteristics. So you can see I'm just getting a ton of experience. It's not like it just gradually builds up over time. So it's really cool. All right, let me go ahead and get that sorted out. Well, folks, so I'm digging up the floor just a little bit right after I laid it down. But what we're going to do first is just kick this off. So as you can see, we got a reactor control. And over here we have an access port, a redstone port, and a power tap. So I would like to try and use AE as much as possible this season, because generally I don't. So what we're going to do is actually use AE in this case. So this reactor is sort of insensitive to temperature. It's water-cooled, only has one control rod. So let's go ahead, access this, and just toss in some fuel. We should see immediate results. We're full up. Let's activate the reactor. And we should see a fairly straightforward control here. We'll see a pretty stable reactor. This is not going to be the most efficient. You can see it consumes a very tiny sum of Yellorium and outputs 278 RF a tick, which is pretty much where we want it. And so we're just going to go ahead and leave that for a while. The thing that's great about this is just the frightful efficiency of it. We've barely depleted any of our setup, right? We're 100% full, barely depleted. This will take a long time to actually fill up. And that was from, I want to just stress, 4 ingots, right? So this will produce just a ton of RF. And actually the texture looks pretty cool. So I think what we're going to do is move the capacitor over here. And we will use a standard power cabling there. But what I would like to do is go ahead and make some AE stuff and put it in the middle of this room, kind of as like a little setup. So yeah, what we'd like to do is set it up so that, first of all, the reactor access port is populated by AE. So we're going to need an export bus, right, to get that all out. And it just needs a formation core, a piston. I think I may even have all that stuff. Export bus. Yeah, I actually almost have everything. All I have to do is make a piston. And we need to get into some auto crafting soon, but we're fine for the moment. Let's just go ahead. Export bus, not fluid, regular, please. Pop that down. So now, in principle, what we just need to do is run the power over there. So boop. As soon as we get some cabling run down, then we'll be in good shape. We want to try and automate this as much as possible. Now, for reasons that I know to be the future, I'm actually going to keep the reactor network as a separate network using a trick. So What I need to do is basically relay the floor here, and I need to make some, let's see, where are they? I need to make a few things. One thing I definitely need to make is some energy cells. These are fairly inexpensive, requiring some Certus quartz, some quartz glass, and Fluix dust. So I'm pretty low on Fluix crystals, particularly dustable crystals. So I need to go and grind those up and just make some of the equipment to do this. But once I have that, then I can sit there, and you can see we're going to fill up with power quite nicely. And this is, 10 million RF. How big is our setup here? This is, exactly as big as the battery. So we're going to have a whole nother battery, and we're going to move all this stuff over there for now. Bye, Echo. So, we'll be, let me just go ahead and get this kind of set up. I just need to make a bunch of Fluix dust, basically. And you can see I'm charging some Certus to go ahead and do that. Get some nether quartz and all the things that we need to make things happen. So I just need a minute to kind of grind out the materials and assemble them, and we'll be good to go. All right, folks. Well, I'm cooking up a bit of skystone. I did a little bit of soul searching and a little bit of work, and I realized that it's just not the right time to build a second ME network. So instead what we're going to do is substantially upgrade our first. So you can see here I've got some power monitors. I've got two of them actually. One is just for monitoring because it lets me see exactly how much energy my system is using here. So you can see here that this system essentially is what outputs into the AE system, and I've actually made 4 energy cells from AE. You'll see why that is in just a sec, because it's basically just a safety measure in the event of something strange happening. But what I realized is that we're actually going to run afoul of the first channel limit. We're having an ad hoc network, as they say, which has no controller. So I think it's time to make a controller. I mean, there's really no reason to put it off. It's actually not a terribly expensive block. If we go ME controller, you'll see that most of the expense is in this engineering processor and then the skystone and 4 Fluix. So actually I don't know why people are reluctant to build them, because they're actually fairly inexpensive in this case, and they look really cool, as you'll see here in just a sec. Let's go ahead and pull this out, and let's leave that in there for now. So instead of this connection here, why don't we instead break this and put down an ME controller? There we go. How cool does that look? And it'll gradually shift colors over time. It looks really, really cool. So there we go. That's the heart and soul. And so now we got 8 channels here. And we've got, if you go at the bottom, we've also got 8 channels over there. Pretty much the best outcome. Now, this red cable represents sort of our interior network. And what we're going to do is actually run it all the way over here. So let's go ahead and go boop, 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 boop. Now, what we'd like to do is have the output from this go into, we'd like from the reactor's output to go into this battery, right? That's like sort of the key. So if we put one of these here, and that should be good, right? Yeah, that should be good. And then let me just break this block here so I can get the angle I need. Yeah. We also want to put one right here. Now, each one of these, basically they start as ME tunnels, but that's not what we want, because we actually want this one to be redstone, and we want this one to be power. So if we tap this with any sort of RF conduit, then it's fine. We'd like to put conduits here and here, right? And so these are, and we can just use this spare piece of glass cable there, it doesn't really matter. So now we've got an ME tunnel here. This is the redstone port, and what we'd like to do is actually just have this toggle the reactor on or off. And we'd like to, set from signal, like that. So if the signal's on, then we do that, and if it's off, then we don't. Because we don't want to run it all the time. It actually wastes fuel if the buffer can't be used. And similarly, for this, we'd like to tap it with a little bit of RF. So you can see now it's connected, but it doesn't have anything to connect to. We need actually to build a memory card to pair these. So memory cards are these things that basically are a tool for pairing different buses. Now, every bus can have, in this system, can have one input and multiple outputs. And they're really quite powerful. So what we can do here is we can say, if we shift right click this, we'll say successfully save settings, right? And then we can hop down here and then shift right click this. Or actually, I guess, no, we want to have this one, sorry, we don't want to shift right click, we want to right click. So this is shift right click and then right click. Loaded settings. So now if we connect to these things, right, now these are actually connected. And And that's exactly what we want in this case. Let's go ahead and break this. Yeah, let's go ahead and... Well, we'll have to just consider... Well, we definitely want to break that at some point, but probably we're just going to hide these. Well, probably the side of these is all going to be hidden with some reasonable-looking tile. I haven't decided how it'll look yet. We'll get this all cleaned up in the end. But this should basically... We want it to configure. We want it to have engine control, emit signal when the storage is less than, let's say, 25% full, and stop when it's at equal to 99% full. But let's say just say 90%, right? So this should emit a signal. Right now we're above there, but what we can actually do is change this to test in just a sec. Let's go ahead and finish wiring this up. Tick everybody off by digging with the wrong stuff. Boop, boop. We'll put that there. We'll put this there. And then finally, we want to shift right-click this tunnel with our memory card, and then pair that over here. So you'll see that actually right here. So we just right-click that. Boop. So now that's... it shouldn't be missing a channel. I'm a little bit surprised. Oh, I see why. We just need to go like this. There we go. And now we should see the power skyrocketing up. And in fact, we took in a massive... We dumped the entire buffer of this thing in a heartbeat, right? And we're still going down because it's basically emptying all that out. How cool is that? So now the final thing we have to do, I actually have this backwards. So what we need to do is pair it opposite way. So when this thing is on, so we'll shift right click this and then right click this, right? So now that's actually outputting redstone when it gets an instruction. So you can see that this is pretty much max full, but we'd like to basically just, you can see we're still draining this all out. So yeah, basically what we've got here is a system that uses ME to move power, and it moves it extremely fast. It's very, very hard to find an upper limit to how fast these can move, and that's one of the nice reasons of using channels to dump into your capacitor from your reactor, because even if you have a big buffer, it doesn't matter. You can basically have a huge amount of storage and it just solves the problem. So yeah, we effectively now have a system that will run... Oh, wow, it's so cool looking. It just gradually shifts color. I'm really glad I built that block. And as you can see, by the way, we only have 2 channels up here as opposed to 8 before, because the smart cable is letting us know that we in fact have 8 channels above, 2 channels in use, 3 channels really in use above this. So adding the ME controller gave us 32 channels on each side, so very, very large number of channels. So really what's left for me now is to clean this up, because basically this system will run down and then it will start to use... Oh, well, there's one other thing I need to do. No, I don't want to use the memory card there. But we need Yellorium. We just need to tell the system, hey, it is your job to export Yellorium. So that's just a matter of telling the input bus. And we should immediately see that start to happen. We just need an example object. Strictly speaking, I don't think we do, but let's just do it the easy way. That's kind of irritating. I'm going to have to build a different way in. I can clean all this up. This is definitely sort of just getting things out of the way. But now we have power generation, and we have extremely high output power generation, which is important. So you can see, yeah, we're already putting some more Yellorium in there. Let's just right-click this, and there we go. And now we should see that the number, you see, we've already getting more, 61, 62. The entire system's contents of Yellorium is going to be dumped out in there. So, yeah, why don't you let me get this cleaned up, and then maybe we could put this power to use. I definitely need to think about how to clean this up, though, because it's kind of ugly the way it stands. It's asymmetrical and whatnot, so I definitely want to think about that.